Hi everyone, welcome to my Snakemake tutorial series. This is the first episode in the series, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to save this text to an output file. All right, we are going to write a Snakemake pipeline that will save this text to an output file. So basically, we will supply inputs which have the text, and then we are going to just make a copy of it. That's what we are basically going to do. So just like any programming tutorial, we are starting with the hello world. So this is an intro video. It's supposed to help you get started and help you get to know the Snakemake environment and how you can use it to write or develop pipelines. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have Snakemake installed. I have a tutorial that shows you how to install Snakemake. So the quickest way to install Snakemake is to use Mamba or MicroMamba. So use any of these to install. And I have a tutorial that shows you how to do that. So check the description so you'll find the link to the video that shows you how to set up Snakemake. All right. Now, this tutorial, we are going to do it on the terminal. So I'm using a Linux system, so I suggest you also use same. I repeat, I'm using a Linux system, so I suggest you also do same. If you don't have a Linux system, don't worry, I have tutorials that show you how to run Linux commands online using your browser. There are online platforms that allows you to execute Linux commands, so you can use those to help you get started. Now, before we start, let me also send you to the Snakemake page. This is the page, and I'll leave the link to this page in the description. So this has tutorials that will help you get started. So make sure to check this out. And I also found this tutorial very, very good, very, very cool. It's concise, it's clear, it's straight to the point. So if you're a beginner in Snakemake, then please check this one out. The link to this page is also in the description box. I don't even know the author, but I just saw it and I said, oh, this is great. So I'll just push it to other people to also check. All right, so that is it. Now let's get back to the terminal. Okay, so on the terminal, I'm going to first create an environment. I already have the environment created. Yeah, so I'm going to activate. Let me just put it that way. So I already have my Snakemake environment created. So I'm going to activate it. So I will say under activate Snakemake. All right, so this is it. Again, check the description, so you'll find the link to the video that shows you how to install Snakemake. Okay, now I'm going to create a working directory. So I'll say make the Snakemake. I can even say Snakemake tutorial, that's also fine. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a directory and then I will cd into it. Okay, Snakemake. Okay, that is done. So we can proceed. So that's what we're going to do. Now, with Snakemake, it requires an input. Okay, it also requires you to specify the outputs. And then you also need to specify the command you are going to execute or the script you are going to execute, all those stuff. So just for this tutorial, this is going to be the structure. We are going to define an input, an output, and then we also specify the shell command that we are going to. So these are the things we are going to do. This is for beginners, so I will try to make it very simple. As we progress in the series, I will add additional information. All right, but input, output, shell, that will be a requirement in this tutorial. Okay, so let's do this. So now I want us to do this. I want us to just create our input file. So basically what we are going to do is that we are going to create a test file which has the hello world test in it, and then we write a Snakemake pipeline to just make a copy of it. That's basically what we are going to do. So you don't need to have any additional data, just have Snakemake installed and that's fine. Okay, so let's create our inputs. All right, so I'll just say echo hello world. Now I'll just do this. I will just use this command to redirect this to an output file. So I'll just say input.txt. All right, so I'll do an ls. I'm going to find the text file there. All right, now I can say cut input.txt. All right, so I have it there. All right, so this is going to be our inputs. All right, so we are basically going to just make a copy of it via Snakemake. All right, now for output, we will supply it when we are writing the Snakemake scripts. Okay, so now it's time to do this. Let's organize our data. Okay, let's just try to simulate a real world situation. So I'll place this in a directory. All right, so I'll say make the data, and I'll move it to this. I'll say mv input.txt. All right, let me just do it here. Yeah, I did not supply a destination. Yeah, this is a good thing. It's good this came up. So in a Linux system, if you are moving a file, okay, to another directory, you have to specify the file, and you also have to specify the target directory. So in this case, I did not specify it, and that is why I have this coming up. It says missing destination file open after input.txt. All right. So the text file will still be there, so I have to move it. So I'll just say mv input.txt again. I'll say data. So now it's going to be done. All right. So this is how you get started. So at least this will also help those who are beginners in Linux. Okay. So ls, we have data, ls data, we have our input.txt. So everything is fine now. Okay. Now we can proceed. So let's clear the screen. Let's do an ls, okay, and then we will proceed. So now it's time to write our Snakemake pipeline. So I'm going to open a text file. I will name it as snakefile. All right. I'll use the nano command. I'll say nano snakefile. Now the reason why I'm using snakefile is that Snakemake, if you call it and you don't supply the file which has the instructions or commands, then it will look for this file, snakefile, in your current working directory. All right, and then it will execute the commands in that. So if I use snakefile and I edit it, then I don't need to supply this name if I am calling Snakemake. So that is why I'm using this one. But in principle, you can use a different name for the file, but you have to specify that when calling Snakemake. Right, so to avoid that, I want us to use the snakefile. Okay. Now with the text editing, I'm using Nano, but you can use any text editor. That's also fine. VI or any text, that's fine. But I prefer to use Nano because it's simple and straightforward. Okay. So I will open this and then I'll proceed. Okay. Now, what you need to know is that Snakemake is rule-based. So whatever you want to do, you have to define rules, and then Snakemake will look at the rules and execute them. All right. In this tutorial, it's going to be a simple rule. We are going to copy the input.txt, which has the hello world in it. So I will say rule. I'll say copy underscore hello world. All right, so it's just going to copy it, copy that text. Okay, so copy hello world. And then I'll bring a colon. And then the next line, I'll just type 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my indentation. That's what I'm comfortable with. And then I'll supply an input. So inputs, and then I'll bring a colon again. Then I'll move to the next line. Indentation 1, indentation 2. All right. And then now I'm going to supply the inputs. Okay. So this is going to be the input. The input is going to be this. So the inputs will have to be in double quotes. So I'll bring my double quotes first, and I'll say data / input.txt. Remember, we moved that text file to this directory called data. All right. So that's it, and then we'll bring our double quotes again. So this helps us to complete it. Okay, so this is going to be our input. Now let's do this. Let's do this. Let's move to the next line and let's define our output. So output, we bring a colon, the same format. And then the output, I'm going to say, we can specify a file, or we can also specify a folder, and then the output file. All right. So this time, let's use a folder or directory first. So I'll just say output, or let me just do this way. Let's use maybe a directory which is a bit descriptive. All right. or let's just say output directory. You can use any directory of your choice, any name, that's fine. All right, so you don't need to use this name, but you can use any directory of your choice. Output directory slash, and I'll say copied.txt, or you can even say hello world.txt. Let's say hello world.txt. This will be fine, and then that is it. All right, so we have it done like this, and then we can proceed. So that's what we will do. We have defined it. Now we have to come to the next line, and then here we say shell. Bring a colon again, then we get our indentation, and then we bring a double quote. All right, we bring a double quote, and I'll say CP. We are making a copy of the inputs to this one here, this output here, this output file. And so we will specify the input. So because we have defined it, we don't need to say data/input.txt. We just have to say inputs. All right, so I'll bring a curly bracket and I'll say inputs. And then the output, the same format, curly brackets, outputs, like this. All right, and then we bring our double quotes. So that seals the deal. So this is just a simple command. All right, so if you are going to do some analysis too, if you're writing a pipeline for analysis, then you need to define your inputs here, define the outputs, and then in the shell and the command, you specify them like this. But anyway, we are going to be doing more of Snakemake tutorial, so you are going to get a hang of it when we start the real world examples. All right, so that's it. Okay, so this is going to be our final command, and so we will exit and save changes, and that is done. So let's do an ls. We are going to find our snake file there, then we can proceed. So let's do this. Let me just open the script again. There's something I have to show you. We specify this directory, all right, but you realize that we don't have any directory with that name. It is fine. Snakemake will automatically create that directory for you and then paste or save the output in that directory. So we don't need to have that directory existing. But for the input, we need to make sure the input file exists. So that means the directory should also exist. But for output, it doesn't have to be so because we are processing the inputs to get the output. Okay, so now with Snakemake, you can do what you call dry run. All right, so we are going to do a dry run. That means we don't necessarily have to execute it, but it's just a way to just test if everything is okay. So I'll do that first, and I'll also execute the commands themselves. So let's do that. So I repeat, a dry run will show the execution plan without executing it. All right, so that's what we are going to do. So we are going to say snakemake, and I'll say -n to specify that we are doing a dry run. And then we also need to specify the number of cores. Okay, so I'll say --cores, I'll say 1 like this. Okay, now execute it. So once I do that, it's going to give me this dry run, okay, information. So it gives me this, it gives me summary and stuff like that, which is fine. So it tells me everything. Okay, so it says missing output files. Okay, copy hello world. Okay, of course we've not yet executed it, so output file definitely is going to be missing. Okay, so that one, it's okay. We can do this. We can also do a summary. Let's clear the screen and do it. You can say snakemake summary like this. That also give us something here. So summary, it says missing updates pending. Okay, we have output file, date, rule, version, status plan. Okay, so basically missing update pending. I mean, we are yet to execute it, so of course the output file is going to be missing. Okay, but these are things you can do just to ensure that everything is looking good. Okay, so let's proceed. Now we are going to execute the commands themselves. So this is what we are going to do. I'm going to say snakemake, and then I will say dash course 1, like this. That means I'm using one core. Good. So let me also say that the course here, if it's a work that can be parallelized, okay, it's a work that can be divided onto different cores, then all the more reason why you have to use Snakemake, because Snakemake will distribute them to different cores. So if, let's say, you have 10 cores, you have 10 jobs, then obviously if you distribute them onto the different cores, then the jobs obviously are going to run faster. Okay, so Snakemake also helps you to parallelize your work, and then everything will be faster for you. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. So let's execute this command. Okay, so now everything has been done. All right, so everything is fine. It says 1 of 1 steps, 100% done. We also have a log file. Okay, so let's do this now. Okay, so now we can examine the outputs. All right, so we can do this. Let's clear the screen. By the way, you can check the log here. You can also specify a log file, but we'll do that later. Now let's clear the screen. Let's do an ls. We are going to find a directory created. Then when you ls into it, you are going to find your hello world text. Okay, you can also do a cat output directory / hello world, and you find your text there. Okay, so this is just a copy. All right, and you will notice that when we were calling Snakemake, we did not specify the file, because Snakemake, if you don't specify any file, it will automatically search for this name here, this file name, and then execute what is in it. So that's why we do not need to specify. All right, but if you want to specify, then you can say -s, then specify the file which has the instructions like this. Okay, and you can execute it. Right, so here if I execute it like this, because the output file has already been created, it tells us nothing to be done. All requested files are present and up to date. All right, so Snakemake also takes note of the outputs, and then if it already exists, that means there's no need to run it again. Obviously, it's going to be a waste of computing resource, so Snakemake will not execute it again. So what you can do is that you can add another command or another rule that will remove the files or output files before you rerun, in case you are using another input. All right, so these are things we are going to cover in later tutorials. All right, now let's do this. For now, let's just do this. I think it's better I show you how to do that. Let's do this. Let's remove the output directory. So I am going to permanently remove the outputs. Okay, so I'll say output directory. Right, I'm removing everything. Right, it's done. So this particular command here, we can also add this to the Snakemake pipeline, because if, let's say, you are going to repeat the instructions, right, you are going to redo them, and then the outputs are there, and then obviously Snakemake is not going to run. Right, so we will include this in the rules, and then you will execute it. All right, so when we call Snakemake, you can specify that very rule to clean, and we can proceed. Okay, so we can do this. We can say nano snakefile, and then we proceed. So this time we are going to add the rule here at the bottom. I say rule like this. Now I'll say clean colon. This time I'll say shell. Then I'll come again. Let me just do it well. I'll say rm-fr output directory. Yes. Okay, that is it. So this rule has no inputs and outputs, right? So we'll save changes like this. And then for that one, if you are going to execute it, you need to explicitly specify it. All right, so you can say snakemake, all right, and then Pause one, and you can say clean like this. So this is how we call specific rules in a Snakemake file. All right, so I'll execute this command, and then it's going to be done. All right, of course we removed it, but if the directory existed, then it's also going to be removed. Right? Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, so now let's recall it again. Let's re-execute the snake file again. I will just say snakemake _1 like this, and I'll execute the command. Right, so that has been done for me. So if I do an ls, I need my output directory to be there, which is there. Ls into output directory, and I'll find my text file there. All right. Now let's clear the screen. Let's record the command again. We know the outputs exist, but let's record it again. And let's see what happens. Okay, so still there's nothing to be done. The files are there. And so here you can, before you execute it, you can just use this command to do the cleaning. All right, and then you can rerun it again. So when you rerun, by default, it's going to use the first rule. Okay, that's what is going to be done. That's going to be the behavior. But we will go into details with having multiple rules in a snake file. That's something that we are going to do later on. So just make sure to come back to the channel and then check it out. Now there's something else we need to look at. Let's open the snake file again. Nano snake file. All right. You notice this. In this particular rule, the inputs, outputs, I came here and then I defined them here like this. Okay. But sometimes so you have multiple inputs, right? So if you have multiple inputs and maybe you want to use them in different situations, then you can assign them to variables. So I'll do that here. Okay. So this time, let me just do this. I can say input file equals, and when I come here, I can say outputs _ file equals, and then this time when I come here in the shell, in the command, it will be input file, and then output is going to be output file. Right, so if you have multiple outputs, multiple input, then you can specify them separately using this approach, whereby you assign them to variables and then you call them using this approach. Of course, we are going to look at how to deal with multiple input and output files later on. This tutorial is the beginner's tutorial, so there are things that I will skip for now. Okay, so this is it. So now we can just edit and save changes. I will save it with the same name. All right, and I will do this. I'm going to recall snakemake _1, and I will do a clean first to clean, and then after cleaning, I will just call my snakemake again here to execute the first rule. So I'll execute this command. Perfect, that has been done. So now if I do an ls, I'll see my output directory, ls into it, and I'm going to find my output file there. All right, so this is how we begin our snakemake tutorial. And so I'll be making more content. I'm currently working on a tutorial for genome mapping. So in the coming days, I will upload a tutorial on how to write a snakemake pipeline for mapping rules to a reference sequence, which is also going to be very interesting. So for those who are into bioinformatics, you can also join me later. You can subscribe to this channel, and then when it comes up, you'll be notified with that as well. Okay, so this is how we do it. Now, aside snakemake, there's also another workflow manager called Nextflow. So for those who don't know, Nextflow can also be used for developing pipelines, and I have some tutorials on that. So if you're interested, you can check the description box first. I repeat, if you are interested in some Nextflow tutorials, Okay, to help you get started, you can check the description for those videos, and you can also check the playlist right here.